So I'm a true believer that, hey, you know what? If you give, eventually it's going to come back to you.
Hello and welcome to episode 64 of the Smart Agents Podcast. My name is Michael Walter and I'll be your host. In today's episode, we are joined by Mirella of the Canavan Real Estate Group. Throughout our conversation, Mirella shares how she and her husband have built their real estate business and how the pandemic eventually led her to begin a weekly series of interviews on Instagram Live geared towards educating her sphere on all things real estate and home ownership. Now, before we get on to the day's featured interview, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents Podcast. You can find the show on all major podcasting platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and now Amazon Music. Also, as you can see if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Click the bell to get notifications when each new episode is uploaded. And lastly, if you or somebody else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. We're always on the lookout for new stories to share. All right, let's get on to the day's featured interview with Mirella Canavan. I'll link the Canavan Real Estate Group Instagram page in the episode description. Yeah, so really, honestly, the way I like to start everything out is if you could tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're at, and how long you've been in real estate.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Michael, for this opportunity as well. I have an HR background. So I worked at a law firm downtown Toronto, 17 years. And then it's like freedom kind of smacked me in the face in 2015. Did my own little thing. And then in 2018, my husband, because my husband's a realtor as well, he wanted to hire an assistant. And having that HR background, I thought to myself, are you kidding me? You want to be responsible for another adult? Like, are you like, come on. So I literally just jumped. It was almost like the subconscious in me said, Mirella, go for it. So I did, and I got my license quickly. It was at the time it was Aurea. Now it's a Humber college course, but I got it within 6 months, and I've been kind of going with a bang ever since. Literally got my first client within the first 2 weeks of being licensed, or I didn't even actually have my license. The paperwork wasn't even completed, and I had my first client. So, you know, that whole manifestation of, okay, I'm killing it, the energy, whole vibration. And since then, you know, working very closely with Mike, he's definitely a coach and a husband. So I can kind of talk to him in two different ways, as the wife or as the apprentice as well. But yeah, we've been growing. It's been fabulous. So I got licensed in 2019. So technically, I really haven't been doing this for a very long time. But I enjoy every single day. I enjoy getting up in the morning, networking and building those relationships with other people, helping them, because it's not about me, right? It's not about the transaction or how many transactions you actually do in a year. It's about helping people. And once you actually help those people, those transactions are actually going to come, right? So, so it's my husband. My husband's been doing it for a while now, about 8 years or so. And we also then ended up getting a new gentleman by the name of Frank Luongo, who joined us in January. So we're a team of 3, and I've been kind of the face, in a sense, perhaps maybe a little bit more outgoing on social media and in front of clients, and the wheels are always spinning in my head as to what new and better thing that we could do in order to help our clients, and that's where I'm at.
Right. Well, and you know, with your background in human resource and everything, just having that human, you know, that interaction, being able to really kind of get to know people and your clients for who they are, I think is really important, and great that your background is in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm always a firm believer that employees are assets to a company instead of liabilities. And the same thing that we're doing right here, right? We started off as just, you know, it's a conversation. And that's how I also used to interview people. You know, I didn't want the sweat kind of going down their forehead and thinking, you know what? No, it's just a conversation. Tell me a little bit about yourself. How are you going to be an asset to the company? And, you know, and so forth.
Yeah. So having such, you know, an extroverted personality, COVID hit a few years ago and everything kind of shuts down. What happened there? What were you doing?
Yeah, so I'm a very big networker. So literally, when I left corporate in 2015, I said, okay, well, what am I going to do? Because as an entrepreneur, you're in charge. Sure, you've got the freedom and the flexibility and so forth, but that flexibility and that freedom can be doing nothing sometimes, right? So, it's not like you're a retail store where customers come to you. You basically have to go and find them. So networking. So I literally started, on the computer, networking, women's groups, and so forth, and I started going to them, and I built very strong relationships with a lot of them. Got known within them, volunteered within the groups as well. And COVID hit, right? 2020. And there was one networking group that I go to, and she had then changed her meet and greet to online, to a Zoom call. And I thought, holy smokes, is this the way it's going to be? Right. And back then we really didn't know what to expect. Right. It was like 2 weeks to flatten the curve. And it was like, okay, it was like the kids, I've got two boys, 17 and 14. And we were like, yes, 3 weeks for March break. This is absolutely awesome. But then, everything started closing, and restaurants were closing. Tim Hortons was Starbucks was closing, all the cafe, everything. I thought, how am I going to meet people? So I literally wrote on a piece of paper, would you like to have a Zoom call with me? And I put that up on social media, and my friends and colleagues and people that I didn't even know ended up saying, yeah, let's do it. So I obviously had to upgrade my Zoom, and I got Calendly, which is an amazing app for calendars, right? And I stopped counting at 170. And I thought, you know what? Now we're obviously getting out a bit more. But yeah, having to adapt that way. And there were times where, you were totally in sync with the other person, talking about how could I help them with their business? How can I connect them with referrals? Following up with them as well, which is a lot of entrepreneurs don't do. You're building that trust, you're building that flow, so they see you often. And but it's building those relationships, and some of them we didn't click. Come on, I'm not going to click with everybody, right? And then it was like, okay, I really don't think this is going to go far, or what have you. And one of the things I also did was write personal notes to every single person that I had a Zoom call with, right? Just thanking them for their time, and if they needed any connection to something, I'm here. So that was really, a strong point of the way I kind of built, my presence. So COVID, in a sense, was business-wise, was perhaps maybe, a good thing in terms of building those relationships.
Right. Yeah. So, how did that help your business grow and help build some of these relationships that you have in the community now?
Well, like I said, it's always giving, right? Being able to be genuinely and authentically interested in the other person and what you can offer in order to help their business. So I'm a true believer that, hey, you know what? If you give, eventually it's going to come back to you. And it has, because within those networking groups, we, Mike and I were blessed to help, a few people buy and sell their properties, answer questions even, sometimes that's good enough too, right? But it also opened our about community, right? So we do a food drive within our area every single year. So it's the second annual. So we started last year. It was such a success. My living room was full of, non-perishable foods and so forth. We did a clothing drive. I just finished doing a fundraiser for Kids Help Phone. So being involved in the community, it helps you also with the visibility, as well.
Yeah. So because you're doing all, the really kind of on the ground, organic type, really not, I don't even want to call it marketing, because it's not. You really are helping your community, but at the same time, you're gaining that visibility. So are you able to not do some of the other marketing that you would be spending on because of what you're doing?
No, we do it all. Yeah. So whether it's social media,
Mhm.
right? Whether it's having my Zoom calls, my husband's so involved within the hockey community. So, just knowing, and sometimes you really don't have to tell people that you're a realtor either, right? They already know. So when you're having that conversation, sometimes it even just comes up, hey, how's the market? And you answer and you start the conversation that way. But we do other stuff. We do direct mail. I know a lot of people may think, oh my gosh, it's snail mail, but you know what? A lot of people, when they have a letter that's delivered right to them, they'll open it. And,
Oh, yeah.
and whether they're going to read it or not, hey, at least I know that once they are interested, maybe they'll pay a little bit more attention. We do, like the old archaic, let's say, postcards within our farm area, as well. We send out newsletters. But another thing that we do that a lot of people I think don't is just pick up the phone, right? A lot of people are so used to email, text, but we love to pick up the phone just to say, hi, how are you? I do a lot of Facebook Messenger videos.
Really?
Which I get 100% feedback.
Yeah.
Or a return, from them. So I absolutely love doing those so that they can actually see my face. So all these little things, that towards marketing, like we're not really ones to have the billboards up on the 401 or in some farm area, right? But it's more of just working your database.
Yeah. Well, by doing the more traditional marketing, like the postcards and everything like that, when somebody does see you out and about doing the community stuff, they really start kind of building that almost relationship with you without even knowing you. That's that face recognition, and they see, hey, you really are a part of my community. That's who I'm going to use when it does come time.
Absolutely, right. So you're building that trust, right? They may know you from the piece of paper. They haven't physically met you yet, but they've also built, we're building that flow where they see us often. They actually see that we are community driven, wanting to help out, help the less fortunate, help the community, and so forth, right? We're right now with COVID, we're kind of, thinking about doing a client event. We may end up doing sponsoring maybe a free skate, event come this winter or so. Because again, like I said, Mike is really into the whole hockey, thing. So we'll tie it towards that kind of niche market. But it's getting out there. So we do a little bit of kind of everything.
Yeah. Tell me, so one of the things that really kind of caught our eye was the Instagram lives, these conversations that you're having with different members of your community. And the last one, I think, was the horticulturist. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, I personally learned a lot from it. It was awesome. I'm not from your area, and honestly, didn't know you before this call, but I learned something from it. So tell me about that whole process and really getting that started.
Yeah. So first of all, it doesn't matter where you're from, grass is grass. Right. So you know what? It actually started in January, and for a lot of viewers, or what have video, you hear about it all the time, right? And I can be shy at times, believe it or not, but for the most part, I thought, okay, you know what, I really need to do videos. So I started up in January, and I connected with a girlfriend of mine. Her name is Dawn Lumsden. She's a mortgage agent, and we really clicked. We've worked together on many deals. And I thought, you know what, would you like to do this, show with me? And she was all in. So we did a first-time home buyers series. I think we did about 4 or 5 episodes, and they're about a half an hour long. And then it was like, you know what, I think I can do this. So then I started asking people within the home services realm. And this season, I'm starting to get a little bit more creative. So we had, stagers, interior designers. We've had the mortgage agent. I've had senior relocation. We had interior designers that actually work with your own, accessories. I've had someone who did, that does kitchen facelifts. So it's a nice array of people. And then this season, I'm already booked up until December. So it's just a conversation, right? Bringing value to our viewers about topics that we all use or we all need. Right. It's no fluff. It's like just, getting right to the point as to, okay, well, when do I fertilize? For your, how do I start? Where do I start in terms of, a blank canvas of grass and the design and trees, and where do I plant them? Like there's so many different questions that maybe a homeowner, may think that it's a silly question, but it's actually important. And other people are thinking the same thing as well. So this Thursday, I've got a paralegal who is going to be coming on, and maybe we're going to talk about, I think, tenants and landlord, because that's a huge thing too within COVID and now too, right? So yeah, I really enjoy them. They're Thursdays at 1 p.m. and they're about a half an hour long.
Right. And I think, for anybody that's listening that, it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't have the time to come up with the ideas for that. Like you said, you're answering the question that everybody has. So I'm sure that every agent out there has gotten a million questions from their buyers or sellers. Just go down that checklist and start answering those questions. And that's where your video content can come from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, I'm looking for, lawyers, and I'm also looking for perhaps maybe the trades. I'd love to have a few trades on, or I know I have a home inspector coming on in November. But how about like an electrician or a plumber or a roofer, or a contractor? Like those are the people that, I'm really interested in getting on because a lot of people have questions regarding those industries.
Right. So what's the reaction been like for the people, that follow your pages and in your community when they see these, these episodes coming out?
Yeah, they definitely think that they're valuable. I know that sometimes when I have my husband come on, it's like, I don't know. I always say Kelly Ripa and Mark Consuelos, right? on live with Kelly and Ryan when Ryan's doing Idol or something. But yeah, they're fun. They're fun. A lot of people do see value. I'm not really into also getting discouraged as to how many viewers, right. Because I'm thinking, what, hey, if you want to come on, you come on, that's great. I still feel that I'm still at the infancy of it all. But it's still going to keep me going. It's not going to be discouraging me just because I only had, 20 people or 50 people view it. Right.
Right. Well, at the same time, all that stuff, it's that type of marketing. It's such the cumulative effect. Nobody's ever going to say, oh, I saw you because of this Instagram, and that's the 100% reason why I've used you. A lot of people, anytime my wife is in marketing and they, the survey of how did you find us? And it's like 10% of the time that thing might be accurate to how they found you originally or what the reason. It's just, everything. It's all that. It's just everything you're doing is bringing them in, and by putting yourself out there as that community expert or really kind of helping answer all their questions, I think is really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, flow is very, very important. So we always hear it, right? We hear know, like, and trust. But like I said, flow meaning when they see your face, when they have that, you're top of mind. And sometimes that's what your goal is, right? You want to be able to interact with people, so many times that eventually you are top of mind. And when they think of real estate, they're going to think of, Mirella, Mike, or Frank, or Canavan Real Estate Group, right? So that's what our goal is. And the more you do this type of, interaction, the more you become visible.
Right. Switching gears a little bit, I want to ask you about, you're talking about working with your husband, and it really does seem like you guys have this cohesive, like really kind of great balance with each other and how that's been working. And I know it hasn't been too terribly long that you guys been, in business together, but how's that been?
It's funny how you say balance because we do balance each other out. We are two totally different people. If you do have a chance to go and actually watch the episodes when we are together, the yin and the yang, but we totally feel that once we actually get together, it's like a dancing couple with different skills in a sense. He's more of the negotiator, the kick-ass, I'm going to get you the best deal or I'm going to get you the best money. That's his forte. Definitely a closer, definitely like, hey, we're going to go and see this house because this house is best for you. That type of guy. I, on the other hand, are more of like, oh, I don't know if you really want this house. It's at the corner and you've got two little kids and the street lights are right there at the corner and you know that you're only going to be in the backyard. That's me, right? Which sometimes I could say, okay, maybe I should just keep my mouth shut and not say my opinion. But again, I feel like I'm an extension of their family, right? Where I want to. But yeah, no, we work well. Again, I do all the marketing. Pretty much, it's like pulling teeth trying to get a picture of him. But he's more of the behind the scenes type of person.
Yeah, and I think just for doing these interviews for the last year, really the smaller teams like you guys have, you've added on this third person, but that's really where I see everything kind of transitioning to, not these big groups that are a little bit harder to manage. But you guys, it being a little bit smaller to where you really can focus on your clients and, take care of everybody on more that personal level.
Yeah, and it's all about that. And Mike definitely knows exactly what Frank's doing. And because Frank's a new agent, he started in January. So, there is still that learning curve and so forth. But we're always available. Right. And that's a good thing too. I find that that availability to either our team member or to our clients is huge, right? Extremely important. And you really want to be able to offer the advice to them without saying, oh my gosh, I'm too busy, or or call me back at another time, what have you. There's always one of us that's available.
Right. What's the, now it's the end of getting close to the end of October here. What's the market like? What's the market been like?
Oh gosh, if I can pull these hairs now. There's low inventory, not that much. A very different fall market than markets in the past. The ones that are there, and especially if your house is really in good shape and renovated or so forth, there's multiple offers. We're still seeing that. We're still seeing the holding offers. So yeah, low inventory, high demand. There's a lot of buyers that are out there. A lot of buyers. Interest rates have been low for a while now. A lot of people are wanting to spend their money on real estate. So I'm finding though that there isn't that much to choose from for these buyers right now. But we're still seeing multiple offers on homes, and but you need patience, right? You just kind of have to believe in the process. I always say to my buyers, your home is out there. And sure enough, it always is.
Right. Right. So, yeah. And, I think with your social media, with everything you're doing on social media, and then just even your background, being able to explain that, to, hey, don't get discouraged. You might have to put offers on 15 different places and it's going to be a while, but just, hang in there with us.
Yeah, and that's the first thing that I always say. And one of the things is I always love helping those clients that are literally obsessed on realtor.ca and all these other apps and websites that we all know that are out there, right? And a lot of people think that, oh my gosh, I'm going to go on these different websites and I know more than the realtor. Well, no, there's a lot of things that we do offer as well, right? So it's sometimes, you have to compare apples to apples, but yeah, it's one of those, you always tell them you got to believe in the process. I know that you're stressed right now, whether you're buying or selling, but you need patience, and we're here, right? You want to vent, come vent, call me up,
Right.
and tell me how you're feeling, and just hopefully I could, calm you down and steer you in the right direction. But yeah, two different emotions between buying and selling as well.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, before wrapping up, can you tell me, what are some of your tips or the things that you've learned when starting this, the kind of video content, journey that you've been on? What would you say that if you could go back and kind of start doing them now that you've gotten several under, you've done several of them, that maybe that you learned that could really be beneficial to our listeners if they're wanting to start out something like that?
Starting out as Joey's, just go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Planning though, I'll be honest with you, there were days in the first or weeks in the first episode, this first season, that I would say to myself, oh my gosh, I don't have anyone for this week. Who do I call? Who do I ask? So now for this season, I've literally planned it out, a couple of months, ahead of time to figure out who I'm actually going to be interviewing. And we do posts on them too. So, I want to get their bio, I want to get their headshot, their logo. So I want to actually post that on Instagram as well. I came up with my own logo, Let's Talk with Mirella, Canavan Real Estate Group. So those are the type of things that I did, but just get out there. And again, it's a conversation, right? You just want to add value to your viewers, and don't get your head wrapped up about how many viewers you actually have, because we all start off with one. Grant Cardone and Gary Vee, they all started off with one, right? So that's all you really need.
Right, exactly. And I will say, you mentioned Calendly earlier. That is a lifesaver.
Yes.
That is 100%. I use that every day, and that is a fantastic tool for really any appointment setting.
Yes, it was the best thing, because for me, like I said, I must have had maybe 30 or so people respond to that Zoom call request. And I thought, okay, how am I really going to schedule this? Especially if they're like, okay, I'm free on, Tuesday at 4 and Wednesday at 10, but then someone else comes in, and then I had said that to the other person and so forth. So I'm like, you know what? This is my schedule. Here you go.
I made that mistake one time setting up interviews, did a blast email, and I was so underwater trying to schedule them that I was having to reschedule with somebody over here because somebody else, it took a little while to respond, and I went to Calendly. It takes care of it for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Absolutely. So get Calendly, be consistent. So it's for me, it's, Thursdays at 1 p.m. First season was Thursdays at 8. But I thought, you know what? I think more for me, for more of my family, I wanted to do it during the day. So now it's Thursdays at 1 p.m. So be consistent, so if you actually are, if you say to yourself, okay, I'm going to start a video series, be accountable to yourself,
right?
Knowing that you're also accountable to your viewers as well. They are relying on you to have, it's almost like saying, hey, what time's Wheel of Fortune on? Like, everyone knows that it's on at 7 p.m. at night, for years, right? So they don't change it. So do the same thing.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to me. And you definitely can tell that how much enjoyment you're getting out of everything. And I think that's great for, to help carry you into the other parts of the business also.
Yeah, I think it's great. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Michael.
I want to thank Mirella for joining us today. And if you'd like to check out her series of interviews, I've linked the Canavan Real Estate Group Instagram page in the episode description. So once again, if you think you or somebody else on your team has an awesome story or tip to share with our community, send us a message at feedback@smartagents.com. Well, that wraps things up for this episode, but remember, follow the show wherever you listen to podcasts and make sure to subscribe to the Smart Agents YouTube channel. Again, I'm Michael Walter, and we'll see you on the next episode.